So in today's video, we're going to take a quick look at rounding to the nearest whole number. So for this first example, we've got 18.3. So we want to round that to the nearest whole number. So what we're going to do, because we're rounding to the nearest whole number, is we're going to draw a line straight through the decimal point like this. We're then focusing on that first digit on the right-hand side of this line, which in our case here is a 3. We're then going to follow our rounding rule. If this digit is 5 or more, we're going to round up the previous digit. And if it's less than 5, we're going to keep the previous digit the same. Well, because it's a 3, which is less than 5, we're going to keep the previous digit the same. Well, the previous digit, the one on the left-hand side of the line, was an 8. So we're going to keep that 8 as it is. So now my whole number part would be my 1, and then I'm going to keep my 8 as an 8. So that would round to 18. Okay, for this next example, we've got 27.5. So again, we're going to put our line through the decimal point because we're rounding to the nearest whole number. We then look at this first digit on the right-hand side of the line, which is a 5. So because it's a 5, we're actually going to round up the previous digit. So we're going to round this 7 up to an 8. So now my whole number part would be 28. Okay, moving on, we have 73.95. So again, because I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, I'm going to put my line straight through the decimal point, and I'm focusing on this first digit on the right-hand side of that line. So it's 9. So because it's bigger than 5, we're going to round up the previous digit. Well, the previous digit was 3, so we're going to round that up to a 4. So our rounded number here would be 74. Okay, for this next example, we've got 59.78. So again, I'm going to put that line through the decimal point, and I'm focusing on this first digit after the line. Well, it's a 7, so that means we're going to round up the previous digit. In this case, the previous digit was a 9. So when I round up that 9, it's actually going to become 10. So when we round the 9 up to 10, all we have to do is put a 0 in the units column, and then we're going to carry over the 1 into the tens column. So the 5 would now become 6. So 59.78 would round up to 60, which we can clearly see is the nearest whole number. So hopefully that method made sense, and we're now going to look at some more examples. So feel free to pause the video here and have a go at these, and we'll go through the solutions in just a few moments. Okay, for this first example, we've got 83.4. So because I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, I'm going to put my line through the decimal point again, and I'm focusing on this 4 on the right-hand side. So following our rounding rule, we're going to keep the previous digit the same. So that 3 on the left-hand side of the line remains as a 3. So 83.4 would round down to just 83. Okay, for this next example, we've got 61.8. So again, drawing our line through the decimal point. We're then focusing on this 8 on the right-hand side. Because it's an 8, that means we're going to round up the previous digit. So 1 would round up to a 2. So our answer here would be 62. Okay, this next example, we've got 43.72. So again, drawing our line through the decimal point. We're then focusing on that first digit after the line, which in this case is a 7. Because it's a 7, we're going to round up our previous digit. So we're going to round that 3 up to a 4. So that would give us 44. Okay, the next example, we've got 26.43. So again, drawing our line through the decimal point again. We're focusing on that first digit on the right-hand side of the line, which is a 4. So because it's a 4, we're going to keep the previous digit the same, so the 6 will remain as a 6. So 26.43 would just round to 26. Moving on, we've got 13.21. So again, drawing our line through the decimal. We're then focusing on that first digit on the right, which is a 2. Because it's a 2, we're going to keep the previous digit the same. So the 3 would remain as a 3, meaning that 13.21 would just round down to 13. We've then got 154.7. So drawing our line through the decimal again, focusing on that digit on the right-hand side, we've got a 7. So because it's a 7, that means we're going to round the previous digit up. So the 4 would become a 5. So 154.7 would actually round up to 155. We've then got 236.3, so drawing our line through the decimal again. We then look at that number on the right hand side of the line, which is a 3. Because it's a 3, we're going to keep the previous digit the same, so the 6 will remain as a 6. So 236.3 would round down to 236. And then finally we've got 459.6. So again, drawing our line through the decimal, we then take a look at the digit on the right, which in this case is a 6. So because it's a 6, we're going to round up the previous digit. Well, the previous digit was a 9, so we're actually going to round that 9 up to a 10. So when we do that, we're going to put the 0 in the units column, and we're going to carry that 1 over into the tens column. So I'd have my 0 in the units, I'd carry that 1 over into the tens, so I'd actually have 460. So we can see there 459.6 would round up to the next whole number, which would be 460. So well done if you followed along with those questions. And that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing. If there are any topics at all that you'd like me to go through next, then please just let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to make some videos on those topics as soon as possible. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.